these
7
They
o'clock.
assume that all the communities have a full-time person during the day that can jump on these meetings.
Yeah, well, I'll take that with me and I'll go look at the link that they provide for the, whatever they've drafted for Brookfield. You know,
Whatever we do, get our full-time. Who would look at that? I thought it was, if we put,
should we start?
We had to put a claim in for that damage. I thought maybe that was,
Oh,
people was gonna give
Oh.
us money, but.
yeah, no. All right, it's 7 p.m., Monday, February 12th, 2024. This is the Town of Brookfield Planning Board meeting. Welcome all. We'll go through roll call. I'm Tim Straz. Ed Ingalls. Here. Terry Ward. Here. Gus Stratton is excused. Carrie McMenamy.
Here.
Marshall Goldberg. Here. Rick Surratt is excused. And Rich Sacker. Here. Mr. Comeau is our public. We have no alternates to, well actually, Marshall, would you like to be a voting member? I'm sorry.
Oh, please.
All right.
I vote for Taylor Swift and Travis.
Did you wear a sweatshirt?
Oh, nice.
You wear a sweatshirt today?
What?
You don't have a sweatshirt on today?
I don't have a sweatshirt on, but
All right.
last night was special.
Public comments? None. Announcements, correspondence, mail. We've got 2 items. We have one that Mr. Zacher brought out here. It's a FEMA digital flood insurance rate map review that they're conducting. And they're asking us to review what they have updated and to discuss anything we find in a March 5th online meeting. So I'll take a look at what they've provided and see if I can locate our floodplain maps and go from there.
The public, when we read that at the selectmen's meeting, the public thought we had 3 houses in a floodplain down on Point Bunny Road. So that's what we should confirm.
The next item is a email I received from Molly Brackett-Dumont on behalf of Moose Mountain Recreation. She spoke with Mr. Zacher and was pointed our direction regarding reopening the mountain, and she states they're in the process of applying for a liquor license, and she would like some clarity on how they're to proceed.
What do you mean by reopening the mountain?
That was her message.
That's all it said?
Yes. So.
Presumably not as a ski area since they
Right. Yes.
electric from Route 16 and
Yeah.
$1 million lift and all that, right?
Did you spoke with her?
She was asking about a liquor license. And we don't do it very often, so I said I would apply to the Liquor Commission, follow their rules. And then I said, you might want to play your plans by the planning board to make sure it's consistent with the zoning. I guess that triggered
Yeah, okay.
that letter.
Yeah.
So she just wants to open up the restaurant? But she didn't know, well, I mean, you spoke, but I didn't know how far the conversation went.
Restaurant.
Just the restaurant.
So she's a restaurant.
Yeah. So on this matter, I did contact the town lawyer because I feel we changed the zoning for Rec 1 to permissive zoning, and we don't. I think we need her advice on that because I don't think the language that we have in the zoning ordinance reflects what the town voted on last year and approved, because it's still, in my wordsmithing, it still references the appendix E, and yeah, so I have a note out to her. She's already responded asking for the old zoning ordinance, the current zoning ordinance, and the ballot questions. So I've provided her with that. So I think I'll respond to Molly via email, so we have a track, a running documentation of this, but I think we'll need to get some more information, details about how to approach the new direction of zoning we've taken with Rec 1.
Remember, the intent was, because we couldn't have an exhaustive list, I'll paraphrase, if you want to do something, come chat.
Yeah. So it's ad hoc, basically, and the planning board would decide yay or nay, pretty much, or
Well, and restrictions, you could put restrictions on, operating hours.
no more than 100 people, or whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a liquor license in Brookfield?
Well, yes, if the liquor license is up at the brewery, it's the Frosties. But I don't know if the town voted, well, we voted on this about 10 years ago. I don't know if we voted to be wine, beer, and liquor, or just wine and beer. I don't remember.
So what do they have? What do they sell?
There it's wine and beer,
Wine.
Frosties, beer.
but the mountain wants to sell liquor. And I don't remember what the town approved, but the liquor commission does, I'm sure. So that's why I sent them that way.
What if they have a wedding up at the barn? Is that the caterer has the liquor license?
I think it's brown bag, you bring your own. I don't think he sells it.
He just provides a facility to bring
Yes.
their own
Yes.
catering, whatever.
I believe that's the way that runs. So I don't know. It's an unusual event for Brookfield.
Big happenings.
Yeah. So anyways, I'll send her a note, just acknowledging her inquiry and try to get some more details, and I'll gather some more information from the town lawyer.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Do we have anything that talks about commercial at all? I mean, I've always had in my mind, Brookfield doesn't have any commercial
They don't.
tax base at all, right? So
Right.
would this be some kind of,
Rec 1 is like its own island. It's
Yeah.
like its own entity.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a commercial,
wouldn't be?
no.
So it'd be free liquor. This sounds better.
There you go. So let's move on to review and possible approval of minutes from January 8th and the 22nd. I make the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the minutes at all? No? No? Mr. Zacher, do you have any items? Nope. All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes from January 8th and the 22nd, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, old business reclamation plans. I'm struggling with this one. Every time I go to read the zoning, it talks, the only reference to grandfathering process is if something was open before 1979. If you go through and read the rest of the zoning, it talks about permit process. And if you have a permit process, then you can require certain things.
You mean the RSA?
The RSA, yes, 155A.
Kept saying zoning.
I'm sorry, I apologize. RSA 155. So I'm struggling with writing something to them, having known the conversation we had in the past with the town lawyer regarding what grandfathering means and what we have for oversight. Really, the only thing I see in the RSA that we can require a reclamation plan as written is if there's 2 years of inactivity. So once again, I put this out to the town lawyer again, just for clarification to understand where we sit with regards to if we're not issuing permits for gravel pits, how can we mandate a reclamation plan from them? So, that's where that one sits. If she responds back and says, yeah, it's within your right to send a notice requiring that, even though, you know, there isn't a permit process, then I'll send a notice.
Or ask her to draft one.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Comeau.
Wouldn't the question to the lawyer be, do the pits need reclamation plans even if there's less than 2 years of activity? And if she says that they don't need it, then she should state that in how the law is set up and state that they don't. I
That's
thought
a set-
this was already a question that was asked already, and it was already,
That's the gist of the question that I asked, is essentially that. If we're not issuing a permit system for gravel pits, can we enforce having a reclamation plan outside of the 2-year closed timeframe?
well, just to speak openly, in your general reading of that RSA, doesn't it state that even if they're not, even if they are using the pit and it's operating, they still need that plan? Don't you
Only
read
if
that
you
way?
issue a permit,
Only if we issue a permit.
yes. And so that's where,
I thought we did, didn't
No.
They started before permits were required, is that
yeah,
that old?
so they started before 1979, that was their cutoff year.
That's one of the pits. But the other pit, that's the question, is not the one over here, to not use people's names. I'm talking about the Moose Mountain pit.
That was started before 79.
Did not start before 79. That was handed over to another owner.
That
Goes by the property.
goes with the land.
So in perpetuity, a pit that has begun in 1979 or before
Prior.
79, that pit ownership and those rules follow any pit for an eternity? I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm with you on that one because
Well,
we
just
said,
ask for that clarity.
We did.
If that is,
we did. And
and you have it in writing, that she said that you don't need to have any kind of reclamation plan because
No,
it's
that's
started
different.
before 1979.
that's different. What she stated was that whatever, if it was grandfather means that it continues, irregardless of owner, it's tied to the land. So whoever buys it next can follow the same rules that the previous people had.
Meaning no rules.
Essentially, and that was exactly, I mean, that's where we're frustrated and confused, because we had this conversation earlier this year regarding this, thinking we would be able to have, some authority, only to find out within 30 seconds of the conversation that we didn't, because of the time that the pit has been open.
Well, then my question would be is that since I'm the one that brought this up, why was it not explained that way? I understand that it was a non-public or it was a legal conversation, but that is the question the public had, is the status of those plans. And there was never a clear answer given as to why it was not being done. So I don't really understand what's really going on.
Okay,
So I think that needs to be clarified.
yeah, we would like to know also.
Yeah, and I bring that up because it's one of your charges as the planning board,
Well,
to oversight the pits.
absolutely, but within the state of the RSA, we can only perform on what is stated. And that's, I think, was where the clarity does not lie, is in something that's before 79 and then something that's permitted. It's not clear in the RSA whether or not something that's grandfathered, if there's any opportunity for us to be able to use the permitting process items on that.
So that pit permit, you're stating, if I'm hearing this correctly, you're saying that the pit permit has not been reissued, that pit owner is using the same permit that was given to him prior to
There
setting
is no
up.
permit.
This doesn't make sense.
There is no permit because everything that was active before the law went into place was grandfathered into existence.
Just to protect the planning board's integrity, that needs to be answered. A clear legal answer of, they don't need it, they do need it, the permitting, the not permitting, that all needs to be clarified for the public. Thank you. I don't want to go on about this, because I will.
Carrie?
So I have down in my notes from that meeting that we had with the town lawyer about how it runs with the land, not the owner. But then they can't expand. So the only
Right.
time that we would be issuing a permit is if they were trying to expand.
That's correct. Yeah,
That's kind of all we had.
yeah.
Okay. So that's why, because they haven't tried to expand, that's why we haven't had the issue of trying to add a
Yeah.
permit, yeah.
There was, this is speculation. We were speculating at one point because the landowner had bought adjacent land
Mhm.
that they may do something there, but
Right.
nothing has happened, so.
Didn't we reach out and call them? Or
Yes.
write them letters or something?
Yes,
And so, did they ever respond, or?
I think we heard they were working on it, but
I mean, did they send an email back or something? Or?
no.
Oh.
Without a permit, without them having to apply for a permit, there's no leverage,
Yeah.
right? Because we could deny the permit and shut them down. But if they don't have to apply, we're working on it.
Alrighty, so this to be continued.
So this, the 155E5 says that after 12 months after the completion of excavation, they shall have completed the reclamation of the affected areas. That doesn't say anything about having to have that plan in place ahead of time. Is that what that's
Right.
your point?
Yes. Yeah, and I think there's another section there talking about if there's inactivity for
Yeah.
2 years, and then they have to have a plan. Yeah. Alrighty,
That's what she says.
member comments? Any members have comments? I have a comment. I have a copy of the subdivision regulations here with Karen's signature and the seal. If people want to make a copy of it today, go for it. It's on the town website, otherwise it was uploaded today. So I'm going to put it in Karen's box before I leave, so I'll leave it here if you want to have a copy.
So that's a complete substitution for the portion in our,
This is the one we approved at our hearing on the 22nd. Seeing no other comments, our next monthly meeting is scheduled for March 11th. It is 7:17. This meeting's adjourned.